At the end of today's video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your next pair of summer shoes. Whether you're looking for a sandal or a sneaker or some kind of year-round loafer, I'm going to share with you tips and tricks to know to make sure you can find a shoe that is both comfortable and it's going to enhance your summer outfits. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I often say in my videos that I do tons of walking, so a shoe that is uncomfortable is really not going to cut it in my lifestyle. But at the same time, I love a beautiful shoe that will improve and enhance my outfit, because I know that shoes can definitely make or break a look. I've got plenty of recommendations here, but no matter what shoe you're buying, I think these tips will still apply. This video is really inspired by a lot of comments I've been getting from you on how to look for good shoes in the summer. I also feel like I often share tips in my replies to comments on Instagram and YouTube, so I wanted to collate all that information into one place. The first thing I avoid are very thin soles. If you compare fashion shoes to comfort shoes, one of the first things you'll notice is that comfort shoes always have a thicker sole, and then fashion shoes can often go very minimal and dainty and thin on the soles. It's all relative here, where in a summer sandal, most of the soles are quite thin, but there are some that are just like ultra thin, and in my opinion, it's just not going to give enough support. Whereas going a little bit thicker with just like an extra layer can sometimes make it so much more comfortable. This offers so much more arch support, and this is a lot more comfortable than one I just showed. Not all soles and footbeds are made the same. There are some that are just very like ergonomic and they feel very comfortable, whereas others are very flat, and maybe you've got more thickness, but it might not offer that same support. Something to look for that will make your shoe much more comfortable is adjustable straps and buckles that allow the foot to sit very securely in a shoe. So something I've discovered in all of my best shoes is that my feet is not moving a lot in the shoe, because when it moves a lot, I feel like my foot works harder and it almost like grips the shoe for it to stay on. Whereas my favorite shoes have adjustable buckles that make my foot feel very secure in the shoe, so that they don't really have to hold on. This ties directly to the next thing to look out for, which is thin versus thick straps. So the thin minimal strap sandal has been very trendy, but something about the thin strap sandals is that it's very hard for it to hold your foot in securely. I've tried honestly so many pairs on, and what I find is that my feet always have to work quite hard to like stay in the shoe, whereas a thick strap sandal or shoe will do the work for you. The way to go around it is that you can still go for a shoe that has thin straps, giving it a more minimal look, but obviously it's a closed-in shoe, making it more supportive. You can do thin straps, but have a lot of them, so then it ultimately holds your foot in a lot better. This not only has the straps at the front, but it also has them at the back, so your foot is held in a lot better than some of these really minimal styles. If you are a heavy walker, you do tons of walking, you're very active, and you need your shoes to be very hard wearing, always look for a shoe that has a sole that protrudes over the shoe. With a shoe like this Heru shoe, you can see that it has a chunkier sole, and then the sole goes over the upper. This just means that when you're walking and maybe you kick something, or just your general movement and wear and tear, the sole is going to wear, but the upper will not wear as quickly. This is really going to protect your shoes and help them last a lot longer, especially if you are quite hard wearing on your shoes. If you have a shoe that's the opposite, where the front of the shoe goes over the sole, this will just mean that when you kick something as you're walking, the front of the shoe is going to wear, and that's a lot harder to fix, and it'll cause a lot more wear on the shoe and upper itself. Something I noticed is that a lot of very well-made, high-quality shoes are very stiff, and they're using thick leather, and sometimes they're slightly more weighty. Whereas more comfort shoes tend to be lighter, maybe they have a rubber sole, and generally, they just feel a little bit more pliable. I think that there is a case for both of these shoes, and I want to quickly explain what they are. So with the lighter pliable shoe, they're usually comfortable from day one. And with a summer sandal, where I'm not gonna have it for 10 years, let's just be honest here, this is a really good option, because I wear it, it's comfortable, and maybe I have it for a couple of years and it wears out. Whereas with a loafer or a boot, I like to go the other direction and go for those stiffer, better made shoes, because these shoes tend to mold. When you've worn them for 2, 3, 4, 5+ years, they really mold to your foot and become your perfect fit, especially when it's leather on the top and leather soles. And the stiffness and structure of these shoes ultimately become something a lot softer and something more molded to your foot shape. I hope that made sense and clarified some things, because I used to often wonder why the high quality shoes were so uncomfortable. It's because they really do need a lot of time to mold and to soften, and it will just be a decision for your lifestyle. If you're deciding what material of shoe to buy, if comfort is your #1 priority, I would always go for leather because it molds to your foot. Canvases, fabrics, other materials, even though they can feel very light on the foot, when you're wearing it for a long time, if it doesn't mold, it can often rub against the foot and just not fit as well as a leather shoe could because it's already molded to our foot. Final thing to touch on is the width of the shoe. If you have very skinny feet or very wide feet, I would always recommend looking at shoe brands that will offer width adjustments. So either they have like different insoles that you can work with, or they will just offer sizing with adjusted widths. So the reason for this is that I often see people try on shoes where even though they're wearing the perfect size, because the width is not right, they'll size up. So then the width is right, but the length is obviously slightly off. And ideally, you want the shoe, as we talked about earlier, to fit like a glove. So for your reference, because when I talk about the shoes I recommend, this will come into play, I have a medium to wide foot. Not super wide where I need like a wide fit, but medium to wide. And then I always love shoes where you have adjustments to alter the shoe because it just makes it so much more comfortable. Just in case you're wondering what I'm wearing today, this little top is from Uniqlo. It's one of their bra tank tops. You've got the bra cups attached, and then these straps are also detachable, so you can wear it like this or without the straps. And then I'm so comfy, cozy in my sweatpants. These are the Lululemon oversized sweatpants, fairly baggy, and I always take one size up in these because I just like the extra room that it gives. Moving on to my shoe recommendations, I have 8 pairs of shoes I'm sharing with you. The best all-rounder shoe I recommend that you can wear for a casual office or to a casual workplace, and then also on the weekends for walking or for going out, would be these Bared Fisherman sandals. So these are so comfortable, and to tell you how much I've worn them, I now have permanent tan lines in the shape of this sandal. The first weekend I owned these, I brought them with me to Melbourne. I walked from day to night in them, and I didn't get a single blister. So the reason why these shoes are so comfortable is that it has this additional insole. So some shoes will just have that bottom sole, and that's it. Whereas with this additional padding, it makes it so much more comfortable. When it comes to styling these shoes, what I like about these over other very comfortable sandals is that they don't look too chunky. They've still got a daintier feel because of the straps, so it feels very light and airy for summer outfits. I'm a true size 37.5. For this shoe, I actually size half a size down to the 37. So go for your true size, but if you're in between, I would size down. These are the shoes I've worn the most, and you can definitely tell by the unfortunate tan lines I now have from these sandals. I have to make the disclaimer here that I purchased all of my Bared shoes myself in the Sydney store. I have never worked with them. I've never been gifted anything, and I will be talking a lot about them simply because they are my go-to shoe brand, and they're the most comfortable shoes that still manage, in my opinion, to look very stylish. The sandal is also from Bared Footwear, and this is a very fun gold strappy style. So I've been looking for a pair of gold sandals for the longest time, and in the past I've been eyeing up Cezanne. But the thing I know about Cezanne is that while their shoes are beautiful, I don't find them to be the most supportive because they're not as cushioned in the sole. And honestly, I need a little bit of that given how much walking I do. When I came across these shoes, I knew that this would be the pair for me because it has a very similar look to some of the Cezanne sandals that I adore, but you can see once again, it's got that very thick insole, making the shoe so much more comfortable if you're gonna wear it for a long time. I also love that it has a small heel. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit of lift, and it's the perfect height, in my opinion. I talked about how not all footbeds are made equal, because you can see this one, it's just got additional cushioning in the middle, it's got arch support with the shape of it, and it just feels very ergonomic in the design. When I look at a shoe like this, something I'm always nervous about are all these little strappy bits, because oftentimes this can definitely dig into your foot or cause blisters. So that's just not the case with Bared Footwear. I don't know what they do with their shoes, but all of these strappy bits are very soft and they don't dig in at all. I wouldn't say with a heel that I'm going to wear it you know, on a very, very long walk. But if I wanted to go into the city, have lunch, do some light walking, some shopping, go about my day, these would absolutely work. And then if you're more comfort oriented, I would say these can also be a really great evening shoe when you want to be very comfortable but still look nice in a small heel. So again, I'm 37.5. Usually I size up to 38, but I did size down to a 37 here. This was a better fit because the 38 just felt like there was a bit too much room in the length. Something you do want to be aware of is that metallic leathers tend to be a bit more delicate than your usual leather. I will be wearing these shoes with a bit more care, and it's just the nature of the leather. No matter where you buy it from, it's always going to be that little bit more delicate. Here's the final shoe I'm going to share from Bared before we move on to other brands. So this is an espadrille, and this one is in a deep brown shade. The selling point of this shoe is that it's one of the most comfortable shoes ever. The reason I feel like this one is ultra comfortable is because of two main details. Firstly, it's got thicker straps. Because of the thicker straps, my foot feels incredibly secure in these, and there's very minimal movement front to back and side to side. The second thing is that you've got those two buckle adjustments, as I showed earlier, so you can adjust the width a little bit, whether you have more narrow feet or wider feet, to suit you. I've tried the espadrilles that are very, very popular. At least they were a few years back, and they were not good for me. They were kind of heavy. I found them quite cumbersome, whereas these are a lot lighter, more supportive in comparison. I went for a 38 in this, so in between sizes I went up, but check the description box for more detail. The pair of shoes I probably get the most questions about are my Carell Mary Janes. These are definitely a more splurgy shoe, but it is one that I've had on my wish list just for so many years. I adore the style of this Mary Jane with the 3 straps at the front. A big part of why I loved it was also the color with this really deep burgundy red shade, and it also comes at the perfect heel height. This is a patent leather, and we've also got leather soles. So with all of my leather soles, I like to put a rubber sole on top to protect them. The rubber sole is very thin, so it doesn't really affect the breathability or, you know, the comfort of the leather sole. It just offers a bit more support so the sole lasts longer and you don't have to replace the sole as quickly. This shoe definitely requires a break-in period. So for the first few times I wore them, I only wore them out for maybe like an hour or two each time. And that way I was able to break them in a little bit more without getting blisters. The way that I put this on is that I keep the first 2 straps done up. So every time I'm just adjusting that third and last strap, because adjusting 3 straps every time would absolutely kill me. And because of my foot shape, I don't need those adjustments to be very tight for this shoe to be secure. This shoe comes in so many colors. There is always some kind of sale on them. So I'll link them down below because I saw it a few days ago on Farfetch. This is currently a very trendy style of shoe, and there are so many dupes for it. The Partridge too, in my opinion, is a very, very, very similar shoe from the color to the style. It has a slight point at the front, and what I have to say about Bared Footwear is that all their pointed shoes, they're not narrow. They are very roomy in the toe box, so you don't have a problem there at all. Trust me, I have a pair of boots, they're pointed, and I don't know how, but there's just so much room in the shoe, and the comfort is still really good. So if you've been watching my videos since 2020, then one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever owned for summer are these ancient Greek sandals. So ancient Greek sandals, they have a line of comfort soles, and all of these soles are slightly thicker, more supportive. And the reason these were so comfortable is because of how ergonomic this thicker sole was. It's shaped in a way that just offered me the best support, and then with the straps, they're a little bit thicker, holding my foot in quite well. I wore these shoes, I think, every day in 2020, maybe 2021 in the summer months, and I honestly did walks that were many, many kilometers in these shoes. The reason I haven't repurchased that exact style is that I got this one instead. The sole of this one is quite different, so I don't know if you can tell just by looking at it, but this is more of a foam sole. It is a little bit lighter in weight, and it's a little bit less, I think, ergonomic in the shape, but it's more light and foamy in comparison. If both of these styles are more or less the same to you, then I would recommend from Comfort, the previous style. I find that sole more ergonomic in that it kind of provides more support for your arches, whereas this one is just a little bit more cuter with the strap design. Ultimately, both are pretty good, and you can see here that it's really these chunkier shoes that will be the most comfortable over those thin-soled options. I've also always managed to find them on sale for like 50-60% off, and that's when I've purchased these shoes. So please don't think I'm paying full price for them. I've never done that. My go-to will be Farfetch and the Iconic in Australia, but I'll link to some options down below. Despite everything I've said, from a styling perspective, I love my chunkier shoes, but I also like the more dainty. So the thin sole summer sandals are still kind of a staple in my wardrobe. These options from ancient Greek sandals, even though they look very dainty, I feel like the placement of the strap gives me some support. You know, it's relative. And then the sole is a decent thickness. Like, obviously very thin compared to everything else I've shown, but compared to these like TK, like WES, compared to those shoes, these are still much thicker in the sole. And because the sole is slightly harder, you're just not gonna feel like all the bumps on the floor, which you might have felt in those very thin sole shoes. I don't really rate Cezanne shoes very well normally, but I do like this pair of sandals. As you can see, the sole is definitely not very thick, but decent. And compared to a lot of shoes like this, I actually feel like it's quite sturdy with this stacked sole. If you look closely, you can almost see the 2 layers of the sole, making it feel a lot sturdier. And the other reason why I've gotten so much wear from these shoes is that it is strappy in the right way. See how you've got the straps covering a lot of the foot? It means that my foot is very held in and it's not moving around like what would happen with some of the other styles that they do. And then with the buckle adjustments, we've got 2 of them, so we can adjust it to our foot shape. This is a shoe that I recommend from Cezanne, and honestly, a lot of them I don't. Sneakers could probably be a whole video by themselves, but if you're looking for my recommendation for a summer sneaker, I would do the New Balance 574 in the white shade. So the reason for this is that I honestly feel like with some of the leather sneakers with the thinner soles, it's a reoccurring thing. I don't actually find them that comfortable. Like, they're comfortable, but I don't feel like I'm walking on clouds, really. Whereas this is actually a step up in comfort, so I would bother doing the sneaker. This is a bright option and I love this color, but obviously in white, it would be a lot more versatile. These are a shoe that I would wear mostly with fluid trousers. I would like them maybe with some midi skirts, but to be honest, I have not been styling sneakers as much as I used to because I found other summer shoes that are just as comfortable. These have become more of a walking shoe, more of an activewear shoe, and occasionally with different trousers. So I need to reference my foot shape again here, medium to wide, and these are a very good fit. My partner has a wider foot. I recommended this style in the men's to him. He seems to get along really well. So if you have narrow feet, I don't know if this is the way to go. For sneakers, let's actually help each other out. If you have a sneaker style you love for your foot shape, let us know in the comments down below. We can hopefully gather some ideas of things we can try on to figure out our best style. My last shoe, which is not so much a summer shoe as it is a year-round shoe, are a pair of black loafers. So my one are from Tod's. I've kind of discovered, sadly for my wallet, that Tod's loafers fit my foot ridiculously well. So remember I talked about pliable shoes versus the really rigid ones? These will definitely fall on the rigid side, but I do feel like they do mold to my feet really well and become very comfortable. If you're not sure, you want something a little bit more low maintenance, you don't want to worry about breaking them in, you just want them to be comfortable, then something rubber sole would be absolutely fine as well. I would actually recommend this style as an alternative from Bared Footwear, just because I've seen these in real life, I've felt the insole, very comfortable, very good shoes, and I think the look of them is also very classic and timeless. This is where I want to bring it back to one of my tips. If you do a lot of walking, I would recommend the kind of loafer where the sole is protruding, because this is the kind of shoe where I do wear it walking sometimes, and I want to have these for a long time, and I want to keep the upper of the shoe protected. So this is the one that's most suited to my lifestyle. Whereas some of the loafers with more delicate soles, I think are not as ideal, especially if I want to splurge a little bit on them. They wouldn't work out as well. If you got a little inspiration or heard something useful in today's video, do go like this video, subscribe down below, and share it with a friend if you know that they struggle with finding good shoes. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I love filming this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye.